again. Welcome to my channel. I'm Lemuel, you can call me Lem. I must first of all say I appreciate people like yourselves who take the time out to check me out. People who have actually subscribed to my channel, long-term supporters, and people just discovered my channel and subscribed to it. I'm entirely grateful for that, thank you. Right, the last video I did was the unboxing of this Epiphone Casino, worn, although the colour which is olive drab, which is a strange name. I'm going to put a link to the description of the unboxing of this guitar, but one of the few things which I wasn't happy with when I unboxed it was the overall setup of the guitar. There's nothing wrong with the guitar, there was no damage, there's no flaws on the guitar, but a couple of things I wasn't really satisfied. The frets was completely dry, it sounded a bit scratchy, and it was, to me, it was unplayable. So this video is going to be, I'm going to set out in detail exactly what I did to make this playable, so I can actually bond with it and make this guitar sing, because I saw the potential of it. The first thing and the most important thing to me as a guitarist is the feel. Yeah? The feel of the guitar is everything. If the feel is not right to you, and this is all subjective, what basically feels good to me won't necessarily feel good to you. So you have to, I'll show you, for example, how I come to the conclusion which is right for me in terms of the feel. Okay, that's the first number one. Second one is the tone. Yeah, that's another subjective thing, because the tone what I might like, you might not necessarily like at all. So it's a personal thing, please understand that. Now, the first thing I do when I get a guitar, they say looks is not everything. Yes, it is, because you've got to have a physical attraction to the guitar. Yeah. Once you've established in your mind, I love that guitar, you pick it up. That's what I do. I pick it up, I have a look at it, I check out, I fiddle around with the knobs to see how smooth and how progressive it feels. I basically feel the switch gear to make sure it's not flimsy or falling off. I make sure the pickups are okay, and everything else. I look at the machine heads, I twiddle around them to make sure how it feels. You know, I look at the nut to make sure it's correctly cut. As you can see, this one is correctly cut. Yeah. I then basically take the guitar. The first thing I do, I take the guitar. A lot of people see how straight the neck is, or if it's got relief or too much relief. Some people have got different ways of doing it. I've seen some people take the guitar and look down that way. That doesn't work for me. Yeah. I tend to put it on my knee, whatever, and have a look down that angle. Yeah, so I look down and it will tell me what's happening to the neck. If it's dead straight, is it got too much relief, or has it got too much bow? Yeah, if it's got too much bow, it's like that, almost like a rainbow, an exaggerating version of that. That's going to create problems in buzzing and stuff like that. Okay, so once I've basically established that the neck is, I just like to have a little bit of relief, not too much, you know, fairly straight, but with a little bit of relief. Once I've established that's okay, and the neck is not damaged in any way, okay, the next thing I do, I take my thumb over the top and my fingers underneath, and I run it to the length of the guitar. Can I go up and down like that without sort of taking my skin off? Yeah, that's the first thing. I'm checking for fret end damages. If the fret ends are sprouted, whatever. Yeah. Once I've done that, the next thing I do, okay, I do this to see if it's how, for example, how does a fretboard feel to me, yeah? Now this one was completely dry, yeah? Now, this is what I do. This is what I did to this guitar. As you said, it's a lot darker. If you basically check out the unboxing, you see how dry it was. Now, a lot of people recommend lemon oil, yeah? That is fine, but these modern guitars with, you know, paraferro and all that type of stuff, whatever they call them, the quality is not the same, you know? This had a very kind of porous type of rough type of texture to it, unlike a real kind of old-fashioned way of, until the regulations came in about the type of woods what could not be exported because of its rarity, like rosewood. Rosewood, I love rosewood. You know, paraferro, Indian laurel, there's not the same. Yeah, if someone basically tells you that, they're lying. You know, just pick up an old vintage guitar and you see the difference between a vintage guitar. You know, just check the fretboard, it's not the same. You know, now if this is not strong enough for me, yeah. So what I tend to do, this is a tip I got from one of my subscribers or people who basically tune to my channel. I've done it before, I totally forgot that I did it before. Johnson baby oil, yeah, that's the first ingredient. Plain old Vaseline. Now, these are some of the tools. I'm going to show you the tools I basically set out. Johnson baby oil for the fretboard. Vaseline or lead pencil to create graphite between the frets. Dunlop 65. Yeah, this is basically used for string cleaning and conditioning. These are a set of radius tools I got on Temu for £1 or £2. They're very, very cheap. You can get it on Temu or get it on Amazon or eBay, but Temu's the cheapest. Yeah. Once you've basically look at the spec of the guitar, and if there's a 12-inch radius, you look for the 12-inch radius and you use that to make sure the bridge is on the same radius as the fret. That's another useful tool. I've got a set of diamond files, yeah, very small fine diamond files. I've got it in Temu, very, very cheap, a couple of quid. This little snazzy little tool, it's got very fine type of sandpaper edges to it. It's shaped, you know, to a point. It's almost like a train. I use that for fret leathering. You can get this from your girlfriend or your mum. This is what they use to do their nails and stuff like that. It's not abrasive too much, it's just fine. I use that to polish the fret ends and to round it slightly. This is another tool I use. If this is a proper nut tool to basically kind of to cut your nut, you know, to the depth you want it to. A simple Sharpie and a profiling tool for profiling. Once you've done the fret dressing on your guitar, you can, it's profiling tool to get the roundness back on the actual frets. Again from Temu. And this is like a sanding block. It's got different consistencies on it from Temu again. And a simple fret rocker. This guitar, from my experience, quality doesn't come cheap. So something, you know, I thought, why they've cut corners on a guitar like this? This wasn't literally set up at all. All they've done, I know that. See, when you get a guitar and the frets and the strings are very, very high, that's a red flag for me, because it tells me from experience that the frets are uneven. So what I do, this is what I do, because obviously I lowered the actual string heights by the bridge. Yeah, it's got some little knobs at the sides here. I use that to lower the bridge. I use it by sight. I don't use measurements because, you know, if the manufacturer said it's supposed to be at this level, it doesn't work for me because everyone's different. It has to be a certain level height for me. It tends to be slightly lower at the front, the high E string, lower and higher on the high string, the thick one, yeah? Okay, so it's like, you know, going downhill. That's how I like to, you know, I like it to be set up. So when I lowered the strings back down to what I like it, then the problem came, fret buzzes all over the place. Okay, well, it's not the end of the world. Most people freak out by then and send it back, but if you like the guitar, I'm going to show you a way, you know, I'm going to go through it methodically so you can understand what I did. If the neck relief is correct, is wrong, you can undo that plaque there to get access to the truss rod. Yeah, go on, you know, it's got a lot of tutorials on how to adjust your truss rod. If you're not sure, do not attempt to do it. Get someone experienced to do it. Item here, this strange looking item, which is I call a fret rocker. It might not be the real name, but I call it a fret rocker. It's basically got different lengths. Yeah, that's deliberate. So this is how I do it. I start at, I take basically this end, the longest, not the second longest end, and I start with 3 frets at a time. And what you do, you just rock it, yeah, like that. If it's uneven, if the one's in, you know, if it's uneven, it will basically be like a rocking sound, like that. You hear a tap, but that's level. Then you go to the next one, yeah, and you literally do that. Okay, you go to the next set of frets, yeah, on the G, yeah, and you do that all over again to the very end, right? And if you get, for example, you get some rocking, say here, it's rocking, yeah, yeah. If it starts rocking there and rocking there and rocking there, but not rocking there, you take your Sharpie and you mark, make an impression on that fret from where it's rocking, yeah, all the way through till you basically identify which fret is high. Now once you've done that, right, I'm a bit lazy, okay, right, depends how expensive your guitar is, but I tend to loosen them off, take the strings out the nut and hang it off the edge, take it off the bridge and hang it off the sides, 3 that side and 3 that side. That's what I do, okay? Some people would not agree with that, but that's what I tend to do. If it's serious, I take all the strings off. In this case, I didn't like the strings, so all the strings was off, yeah? But if it's just 1 or 2 frets, which is high, why take off all the strings? You can just unloosen the strings, so it's really loose, so you can take it out the nut and off the bridge and hang it off the sides, yeah? Now, this is what I do next. I take this tool here, and the impression, the mark I made on that particular fret there, when it's off, I then take this thing and just do it in light movements to get rid of that marker. Once it's done, I get a brush, clean it up, okay? Whatever it's done, whatever other frets is done, what I'll do, I then clean it up and I polish it with Brasso or something like that, you know, with a couple of cloths, you know. Now once I've done that, I then get a cloth. I don't put it directly on the fretboard. I get a Pacific cloth and I smother it. I'll just give an example. Get some baby oil. If you look in there, can you see that? And I literally work it in to the fretboard. Any residue, I take it off the strings like that, yeah? Simple as that, that's what I tend to do. It's not nothing complicated, but I just explained to you, it's quite simple. And I think every guitarist should, you know, if you don't feel comfortable, try it on your pride and joy. Get a £15, £10, whatever guitar and try that, you know. Get all these equipment, they're very cheap to get, and get them on Temu, cheaper than Amazon, eBay, Temu. Comes directly from China, but it normally takes about sometimes a week or less to get to you. So that should be in your toolbox. Now, once I've done that, this is the other thing I do. Now, string gauge is another subjective thing. So some guitars feel a lot slinkier than others. This type of, this is like a top wrap. This goes through the actual tail bridge on the top, so it's quite easy to bend. You get sort of guitars what's strung through the body, like your Telecasters and your Strats. They're much more in tension, you know, so they tend to use lighter gauge strings. But if you're not sure about the gauge of strings, I normally start at 10s, because all guitars are different. I start with a 10 gauge string. If it doesn't feel slinky to me, it doesn't bend easily and it's a fight, I basically tune it down half a step to a step, a whole step sometimes. And if it feels fantastic, I thought, that guitar needs 9s. I'll make a mental note of that. Yeah. Now what I did, I put some super slinkies on this, and I put 9 gauge on it because it came with 10s and it was a fight. So that's what I did. Now, then what you do, once I've done all that work, it's time to tune up. And this is what I do. This is a sort of procedure I go through. Play the E string, and this is how I stretch my strings. I start at the 12th fret, yeah? Okay, put my hands on it and I literally pull, all of them. Well, no, sorry, I just start with the 1, yeah? And I go halfway through. This is what I do. And then where the nut is, I press it downwards. Like see those Telecasters players when they do their country, they do their bends behind the fret. I do all that to it, and I play it again. Now I stretched these strings yesterday, so it's still, all what I did, it's still in tune. So you must go through that ritual. I know it sounds a bit boring and monotonous, but you have to go through that ritual, yeah? So the G is slightly out, so I'll basically stretch that again. And play it slightly out. And I'll do it again. I do that on that individual string so it basically stays in tune. Because if you can do all this type of abuse, don't do it too hard, you don't want to snap your strings, but you know, but you see what I'm doing, yeah? The G is always problematic on most kind of, you know, Gibson type, Epiphone type guitars with this type of three on either side configurations, because the strings are not going in a straight line. What I can do, that's fret marking tool, you can angle it slightly downwards, yeah, to the slight angle where the string is going. E and the low and high E, you don't need to do it because it's in a straight line. That's why I had a string butler in my first Gibson Les Paul. But you can just do it very slightly, yeah? And what I tend to do, I take a bit of Vaseline with a toothpick and I place it in between the slots. I put it there, and on the bridge, which is metal, yeah? This is metal. Where the strings are slotting, I put a little Vaseline in between, yeah? So it literally reduces the friction, so you don't get any binding there. And what I do, the top 3 I normally bend down, and the lower, the high E, the high strings, the 3 ones, I bend upwards. So none of it, have you noticed what I've done there? None of it is choking out. Now, normally I'll do that ritual for about however long it takes. It takes me a week till I'm satisfied. The strings are thoroughly stretched and they stay in tune consistently. Okay, I'll do whatever it takes until it's done, because one of the worst things, embarrassing things for a musician, when you're out on a gig, yeah, or you're playing at home to a track, you know, and halfway through the song the guitar goes out of tune, yeah. Oh, one more last thing I do, intonation. That's very important. You know, I use a very small, if you look on the bridge here, it's got some screws on each side of the saddle inwards. Some are out on the outside, but this one's an inside, yeah. So I do the intonation by adjusting the screws, if it's sharp or flat, whatever, till it's basically in tune, yeah? So when I'm playing the E down here, and it's got to be in tune, okay? And that's what I do. If this, what I'm basically explaining to you, some of you know it, and even at an advanced level, you know, at the bottom it's got timestamps. You can just forward to what you want to miss or just what you want to see. But those of you who've got a bit of time in your hand, grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee, and let's basically kind of chill out together and go through this journey. Right, so I've established the feel, you know, in a broad, can be more detailed, but for the sake of getting straight to the point, that's how I deal with the feel. Now the next thing is tone. You can spend thousands and thousands of pounds on equipment, guitars and stuff like that, but I'm basically looking at it from a layman's point of view, for somebody who's a bedroom player, who's an enthusiast. You don't really necessarily go out and gig. You don't need a lot of equipment. What's the point of spending loads and loads of equipment? Thousands of pounds is unnecessary. Yes, I gig, but not as often as I used to, because the world's changing. You know, in lockdown, when I used to do gigging, you know, someone wanted to do a record. They just sent me the file, and I provided the actual guitar lines, you know, and posted it to them, or, you know, by electronic mail, whatever, Dropbox it to them. You know, that, you know, everything could be done online now. We're living in an age where you can witness a whole kind of concert in the comfort of your own home. The world has changed, so there's a lot of people basically use their passion for the guitars or instruments and do it from home as a hobby. Yeah. So I'm going to basically start from a layman's point of view. People with not a lot of money. Okay. Now, I've got a Fender Blues Junior 15-watt valve amp. Yeah. It's ideal. I've also got a PV30 amp, another PV Valve King. You know, that's 30 watts, that's 30 watts, and I've got a Line 6150. But I'm going to start with this, because I like the old kind of warm tones of a valve amp, you know. It's a lot different. It suits my ears much better than a transistor type amp. You start with the amp, okay. I always basically turn my amp and leave it on for about half an hour to basically make sure the valves are completely warm up. The more hotter they get, the better sounding they are. Okay, now this is a small room. I've got neighbours, yeah, either side of me. I live in a terrace house, yeah. So I can't be basically kind of going berserk and turning it right up. Although this is a 15 watt, trust me, you can use this for gigging in a small pub or small venue. It's that loud, yeah. So for that purpose, the volume is on number 3. Yeah, it's got a fat boost on it, yeah, what thickens up a bit. The treble is on 7, yeah. The bass is in between 6 and 7. The middle is on 8. The master is on just what? On 3. The reverb's on 3. That's it, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start with the amp first. So with tone, all guitars are different. This one's got a very sonic type of ambient, a different type of tone, which I've never experienced before, because it's totally hollow. So what I tend to do, that's in that position, I turn it all the way up. Tone is all fully up, volume is all fully up, okay? And I always start in the middle. I just turn it down a bit. I've got a feeling it's going to be a bit loud. Okay? You can tell if a guitar is set up properly. You know, this is obviously got different characteristics, but you can have it ringing for days. Okay. Okay, that sounds pretty rich to me. Start the bridge. that. I'm happy with that. Okay, I'll go into the next stage. Now, what I've done, this is my pedal board. That's just one of, I've got 3 pedal boards, okay? But on here, I've got a clon, yeah? That's a power supply. I've got a very cheap graphic equalizer. It's made by Behringer, the EQ 700, okay? I've got, that basically, if the amp is not giving you what you want, you can do the EQ to basically make it sound, manipulate the sound of the amp. You don't need a lot of money. You've got a Marshall Blues Breaker pedal, yeah? I've got a Digitech Screaming Blue. There's like 25 quid, 30 quid, eBay, second hand. That one was won't believe it, I got it on flea market things, yeah? You know, 25 quid. I've got a vibrato, Marshall vibrato, and I've got a Moya octave divider, and that's basically a clon. Not a real one, but it's a hand-wired one which I picked up from eBay. So it's not a lot of money, yeah? Okay. The most important, I would say the most important pedal is the graphic equalizer, yeah? The second most important pedal to me is a kind of boost pedal, you know, like a clon, you know, Screaming Blues or Blues Break, whatever, okay? Just to give it some extra ingredients. So now, okay, starting from the middle again. I'm going to activate the graphic equalizer. Turn off the graphic equalizer. This fattens it up. I just mess around with the EQ. I just messed around with the EQ till I got this tone. Give an example. Okay, more if I wanted a jazzy feel, I boosted up to get that jazzy type feel on this. For example. That's a jazzy tone. You go in the middle. Now, I want to turn it off, okay? And just give you an example, just at one pedal, Screaming Blues. Okay, if I wanted an extra spice, I've got the vibrato, that traditional, okay. If I want to get adventurous, you've got to add a little spice. I've got the more octave divider. So that basically shows you the kind of ritual I go through when I get a guitar, from start to finish. Now, I went through all the tones and how I basically get my tone. Now I'm going to basically show you how this sounds now. Now I've done all the major adjustments and service on this mighty fine guitar. Okay, let's see how it sounds, how it sings in a potential mix. Okay, it's not a studio, it's a backing track. All what I do is unrehearsed, but the thing is about getting the guitar which is set up to your specification. It doesn't matter the cost of the guitar, the equipment, it's getting the feel right, the tone right, okay? And literally happy days, yeah? You can literally go into your own world of imagination. Imagine the therapeutic passion you get from playing one of these is priceless, yeah? So I hope that was a pretty long video, but I said it's got time stamps in between that. Those who endured the whole length of this video without stopping, fair play. I take my hat off to you, right? I really appreciate that. Now, if you basically want to see other content like this and you enjoy what I do and it brings value to you, please consider subscribing. It helps to grow my channel, helps me to basically get more equipment, because I've got a goal to basically cover an area of what's basically important to people who have a passion for the instrument. Thank you very much once again. Subscribe, basically press the notification button, because the next video I will be doing is a Schecter and you don't want to miss that. I'm going right into that one. Thank you very much indeed. All the best. Bye for now.